career, Antonio Cromartie. Welcome back to Undisputed.
Welcome back.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Good to have you. So you're currently a free agent.
Yes.
Do you still want to play in the NFL?
Of course I want to play. I'm not out here training since October. Last October, so I've been training for the past year. So I feel like I'm in great shape. I'm just ready to go play.
Have you heard from any teams lately?
I have. I actually worked out for a team. I worked out for the weight play at right about now, about 211 right now. So
Is that still a possibility?
it's still a possibility. Still a possibility.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Well, I got to ask the key question. Have you heard from my Dallas Cowboys, who are in desperate need of a veteran cornerback presence?
No, I haven't heard from the Dallas Cowboys.
Nỗi đau và oán hận này, ngươi có buông được không? Rõ ràng Đông Linh đã
Not at all.
Really?
No, not at all.
Do you expect to? Any grapevine word about it?
Honestly, no, I don't. I think their biggest decision is they want. I don't think they want to
Bad young.
here's an opportunity. I think that's the biggest. I think when I first came in 2006 with Marty Schottenheimer as my coach, he gave me an opportunity. I didn't fare well, but he put me into the office and said, look, we're gonna make you. You're only gonna play nickel packages. And that's the thing. Like I say, I always tell people that's the one thing I respect about Marty Schottenheimer. He gave me the opportunity to go out and go play, and he didn't like the way I was playing, so he told me as a man, look, hey, you got to play better. We're gonna play nickel packages, go from there. But I think Jordan Lewis is doing great. I mean, you can't defend that ball. That's one ball you cannot defend.
Well, especially when you're 5'10" and he's 6'2".
Listen, okay, but you can't say that because Brent Brown's 5'8". 5'9", and he goes out and covers 6'5".
Special, man. I mean,
But I think Jordan Lewis will be special too. I think he'll do his thing.
how
He's
tall
not
are
against
you?
Aaron Rodgers. He ain't gonna be
How tall are you? 6'1"?
6'2.5".
6'2.5". So what was I thinking on Sunday night? If Antonio Cromartie had been my corner over there on that play, I don't think Devontae at 6'2" rises up over you and snatches.
Well,
that
first
ball.
off, I would have pressed Bell. I'm not gonna press him. I know I'm a rookie corner. I would have came back. Studying film, that's one of the Devontae Adams' favorite routes, the favorite route down the red zone. So I pressed the first time, made a great play.
He did. He made a play the first time.
Second time, I'm gonna show him something different. I'm not gonna give him the same thing. If you notice on the second one, he didn't get his hands on him. The first one, he got his hands on him, knocked him out, and was able to be there. Second one, he didn't. So it's just about being consistent. That's all it's about. I mean, he wasn't consistent with getting his hands on the receiver, so he wasn't able to defend that ball. The ball was thrown. He jumped late. Devontae Adams already had the ball, so you can't defend that.
Well, like you said, I mean, you're making jokes about, but he never even saw the ball.
Never saw it.
Yeah.
Listen, I've had one of those routes in 2011 with Tony Romo and Dez Bryant, where I got my hands on him, and before I knew it, the ball was already in his hands. And I'm like, okay, where's the ball?
And sometimes you can have perfect coverage, but if they make the perfect throw, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's like baseball. He's a hot hitter, but if the pitcher throws his pitch where he wants it, locates it at the speed he wants, you're not going to hit it. And that's what Aaron Rodgers and those receivers, they practice that so much. Skip, we practice red zone, but they practice so much red zone, just individual stuff now.
Yeah.
It's almost like a drill in and of itself. Like teams practice 7-on-7, teams practice 9-on-7. They will practice just these throws. The back shoulder fade, I mean, only a few teams ran it back when I was in the game. That was many years ago. Now everybody's running that because you have to defend it. Okay, how do I defend it? If I stay on top, he's going to back shoulder me. Yeah. If he lags behind, he's going to throw it over the top of me. And still, I got to worry about the slant route. So there's so much you got to worry about. And like Antonio says, you can't give Aaron Rodgers and his receivers the same look. Because that's why they came back with it, because they knew he was going to press him the exact same way. And if I get off clean, this is what's going to happen.
The other problem my team has is there's no veteran presence at safety. And there is a guy that you know pretty well still sitting out there on the market named Darrelle Revis. Revis Island is on his own island somewhere outside the NFL. I can't believe he's not with anybody. Are you surprised?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised about myself too. I mean, I think Revis is 32, I'm 33 years old. Still can play at a very high level. Maybe not as when we're 22, 23 years old, but we bring knowledge to the game. Not only knowledge, but you can pass that knowledge on to the younger guys to help those guys understand how to watch film, how to play certain routes, look at formations and study that. I mean, it's just a point, like, us as peers, like, being in that room can be something greater than having a coach in the room. Because players listen to their peers more than they listen to their coaches. So you have another coach that's on the field, and you also have another coach that's in the locker room to help the guys, mold guys. And if it's a one-year thing, it's a one-year thing. But now you get those guys that following year to be exceptional players and actually learn the game and know the game and go out and go play at a very high level.
So when you say study film, study formation, were you a formation guy, or you were a formation as far as like 3 wide trips, or did you pattern read?
I did all 3. Because you got to think, when me and Reeves was together, we had receivers we had to cover.
Right.
So when we covered a receiver for the week, okay, this receiver lines outside the hash zone. Let me say outside a yard outside dig route. If he lines a yard inside the numbers, okay, he's running a curl, he's running a speed out, and he's running a deep comeback on the bootleg. Now, if we're not covering it, now we're playing left and right, we go into formations. Okay, if you want to run twin pair slot, okay, we know exactly what you're gonna do. You're gonna have the down tight end blocking, the other one's gonna run a crossing route. You're gonna have another crossing route coming to us with a deep post coming behind. So it's just little stuff like that, understanding the offenses and knowing where to go. You know where third down is going to be. You're playing against, you know, you break it down to a standpoint of understanding who you're going to be or where the players are going to be. Offenses don't change much. The coordinators don't change. So if they go to another team, if you got a book on them, you keep that same book because it's not going to change.
Tell Skip how you would defend Dez.
How I defend Dez, I'll take all the way inside routes away. I play them inside out. Because you're not gonna beat me deep. That's the one thing. You're not gonna beat me. So now you got to run crossing routes. You got to run digs, which is some of his favorite routes. Do they run the deep ball? They run the back shoulder fade out in the field? Yes. I want you to run that route because now I'm only gonna do it just back shoulder fade and play into it. So it's just a point of understanding like who your players and what they do best.
Yeah, the problem is Dez, though, he hasn't just lost a step. I think he's lost 2 steps. I just don't see anything.
I don't think
sudden.
so. I think what Dez is doing, he's playing into the system. You can't say a guy lost a step because he doesn't have the same numbers as he had the year before, the year after that. I think what it is guys are understanding like, look, okay, we're gonna double Dez if we're gonna put our best corner on Dez. Sometimes he's gonna get a shot, sometimes it's not. I mean, you gotta think some of the balls that was thrown to him wasn't always great balls. Some of the balls he should have caught, some of them wasn't that great. It happens. But I believe as the season goes on, everyone's going to see that Dez is still the same player.
I hope so.
But what we're seeing, Crow, is that when he goes up against those other boy dogs, Janoris Jenkins, Harris Jr. Talib, Pat Peterson, we don't see Tremaine Johnson. We don't see the Dez that we saw in 2014 when he commanded that big contract. See, when I look at Dez, I look at a guy that's not a technical runner. You don't see Dez run speed outs. No. You see Dez, now he will run the slant if you open up. But when I look at him, I don't see him running comebacks on the sideline. I don't see him running speed outs. He don't really run the bang 8. He's an in-cut guy. He's a slant guy. He's a back shoulder fade guy in the red zone. He's a big body guy, but he's not technically sound. So it makes him very easy to cover because you're like, I ain't even worried about that. I know you're not running speed 8. I know you're not running comeback, and you can't beat me deep. So back shoulder fade, slant, in cut. Okay, well now what?
Okay, but you got to think, the guys that you named, what did they do best at the line?
They press.
And put hands on.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the receiving core, even when we played against when I was in Arizona, if you get your hands on the receiver, it's hard for them to get the timing and what they need on the field. So if I'm a D coordinator, I'm going to tell my guys to press, stay patient. You know the routes that he's going to run. Right. That's it. Learn the formations. If you learn the formation, you know exactly what Dez is going to run at a certain spot in a certain amount in time of the game. It doesn't change. The coordinators are not going to change what they do just because you go into another different week.
So the last team you played for was the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
You got cut in just about a year ago in October.
October 4th.
October 4th, so we're right on schedule. And your wife then posted on Instagram that she thought it had something to do with the fact that as a team you were ordered not to kneel for the national anthem and that you violated that order and you did kneel and you paid for it.
I kneeled twice that year. I didn't kneel the 9/11 when we played the game on 9/11. I didn't kneel, but I did come in and kneel. I think it was week 3 and 4 I did kneel. But like I said, I talked to my wife. I prayed about it. It was something that was near and dear to my heart because I got 6 young men, 6 young boys that's growing up that's black. And at the end of the day, like we got to understand, like when Colin started it, he sat down, and then when he met with a war veteran, and he said, "I would rather for you take a knee Just show
Nate
more.
Warrior was the guy that he
I would rather for you to take a knee than sit down. I think you sitting down is more disrespectful than you taking a knee. And I think the message is getting lost in what we're kneeling for.
Right.
The kneeling is for police brutality, social and racial injustice, and it's just like we're losing that because of what the president said. Of what it's like. We're getting distracted from the real reason why we're kneeling, and we're getting distracted for other things that's going on in the earth, like gun control, Puerto Rico, and everything else. And we're making a big deal about this right here, and about disrespecting the flag. What's disrespectful to a flag is when we come out every day for the national anthem, you're holding it horizontal and flat. That's disrespectful. And, to understand that, we have to talk to the guys that's taking the knee. Like, I took a knee and I felt like I was fired because I took a knee. They said it was because of my play, but if you look at my stats, I gave up 44.5 yards a game in 4 games and 1 touchdown. And that was on 1-yard slant to Allen Robinson in the London game, which I took a knee in that game also. So, I just feel that, yeah, I got cut because I took a knee.
Do you think that's still operating as to why you don't have a job now?
I think some of it is. I think some teams are afraid just because, one, I'm a veteran guy and I'm an outspoken guy. And I think that may steer them away from a standpoint of saying, okay, we don't want this guy coming in the locker room and maybe deferring our guys to taking a knee. It's not me. I'm not going to tell a guy to take a knee. This is my own judgment. This is something that I have a belief in, that I feel strongly about. I mean, I grew up in a single-parent home. I grew in the projects. I moved 14 times. I went to 11 different schools, so I understand it. I've seen it. I've seen the epidemic of guys going into drugs or getting killed in front of my face. It's just the point of, it depends on how you grew up. And I'm not going to forget where I came from. It doesn't matter how much money I have. It doesn't matter where I'm at. My obligation is still to be a man of my word and be there for my community, and that's the black community. And I think that's what we're losing the insight on, of what's really going on in America and what we're fighting for and why we're taking the knee.
We've got to take a quick break, but we'll get more with Antonio on the national anthem protest next.